What happens when a former royal steps onto live television thinking the rules don't apply to her? It only took 31 seconds for Meghan Markle to turn what should have been a friendly morning show appearance into television chaos that left viewers across America absolutely stunned. Picture this: the bright lights of the Live with Kelly and Mark studio, cameras rolling, millions watching at home, expecting their usual dose of celebrity charm and pleasant conversation. Instead, they got a front row seat to one of the most shocking meltdowns in daytime television history. Kelly Ripa, America's sweetheart with her infectious smile and bubbly personality, sits across from her co-host, Mark Consuelos, that familiar chemistry between them lighting up the screen as always. They've done this dance thousands of times before, welcoming guests with warmth and genuine curiosity. Today's guest was supposed to be different, special even. A duchess, someone who married into the most famous family in the world, someone who should understand grace under pressure. But from the moment Meghan Markle walked onto that set, something felt off. The usual pleasantries, the fake smiles, the careful choreography of morning television, it all started to crumble within minutes. Welcome back to Live with Kelly and Mark. Kelly begins, her voice bright and welcoming as she addresses the camera. We're here with Meghan Markle, and we're so excited to have you on the show today. Mark nods enthusiastically beside her. Absolutely. We've been looking forward to this conversation. How are you doing today, Meghan? Now, here's where things should have gone smoothly. A simple question, the kind asked on talk shows every single day. How are you doing? 3 little words that usually lead to pleasant small talk about the weather, the flight in, maybe a cute story about the kids. But Meghan's response? It caught everyone off guard. Well, Mark, I have to say I'm a bit surprised by the setup here, she says, gesturing around the studio with an expression that can only be described as disdainful. I was told this would be more of a serious interview format. This feels very daytime. The silence that follows is deafening. You can practically see Kelly and Mark glance at each other, trying to process what just happened. They're literally hosting a daytime talk show. That's exactly what this is supposed to be. Kelly, ever the professional, tries to smooth things over with a laugh. Well, we are daytime television. That's kind of our thing here. We like to keep things light and fun for our viewers. Light and fun, Meghan repeats. And there's something in her tone that makes the studio audience shift uncomfortably in their seats. I see. I suppose I expected something with a bit more substance, given my background and the important work I'm doing. Mark jumps in, still trying to keep the energy positive. Of course, we definitely want to hear about your projects and the causes you're passionate about. That's exactly why we wanted to have you on. My causes, Meghan says, and now she's really warming up, leaning forward in her chair with an intensity that feels completely out of place for morning television. Yes, let's talk about my causes. Let's talk about how the media, including shows like this one, perpetuate systems of oppression and refuse to give people like me the platform we deserve. The camera catches Kelly's expression, and you can see the exact moment she realizes this interview is going somewhere she never intended. Her smile falters for just a split second before she recovers, but the damage is done. The tone has shifted completely. I think there might be some misunderstanding, Kelly says carefully. We invited you here because we think our viewers would love to get to know you better. Hear about your life, your experiences. My experiences, Meghan interrupts, and this is where you can see Mark starting to look genuinely concerned. You want to hear about my experiences? Do you want to hear about how I've been treated by your industry? How I've been silenced and marginalized? The studio audience is dead quiet now. This isn't what they signed up for when they came to watch a taping of their favorite morning show. They wanted celebrity gossip and cooking segments, not whatever this is turning into. Kelly tries one more time to redirect. We're always interested in hearing different perspectives, but maybe we could start with something more personal. Tell us about your family, your children, and that's when Meghan's expression changes completely. Her eyes narrow, and when she speaks, her voice is cold in a way that makes everyone in the studio sit up and take notice. More personal, she says. You want me to talk about my children on television so you can dissect every word I say about them later? So your viewers can judge my parenting and tear apart my family? Mark tries to intervene. That's absolutely not what we're asking for. We respect your privacy completely. Do you? Meghan shoots back. Because it sounds to me like you're trying to get me to provide content for your show without any consideration for what I might want to discuss. I came here to talk about important issues, not to be your entertainment. The tension in the studio is now thick enough to cut with a knife. Kelly and Mark are both clearly trying to figure out how to salvage this interview, but Meghan seems determined to turn it into something else entirely. I think we all want the same thing, Kelly says diplomatically. We want to have a good conversation that our viewers will enjoy and that gives you a chance to share whatever message you'd like to share. Whatever message I'd like to share, Meghan repeats, and there's a bitter laugh that follows. That's rich, coming from people who make their living off celebrity gossip and manufactured drama. The audience is starting to murmur now, confused whispers rippling through the studio. This is Live with Kelly and Mark, not some hard-hitting news program. Everyone knows what they signed up for, except apparently the guest of honor. Mark makes one last attempt to bring things back to normal. Look, we're just happy you're here, and we want you to feel comfortable. Why don't you tell us about what you're working on right now that you're excited about? Meghan leans back in her chair, and for a moment it seems like maybe she's going to take the olive branch. Maybe she'll pivot to something productive, something that won't leave everyone in the studio feeling like they're watching a car crash in slow motion. But then, she opens her mouth again. And what comes out makes it clear that this interview is about to go from bad to much, much worse. What I'm working on, she says, her voice dripping with condescension, is trying to educate people about media literacy and the damage that shows like yours do to society. You sit here every morning feeding people fluff and nonsense while real issues go ignored. The collective gasp from the studio audience is audible. Did she really just call Kelly and Mark's show fluff and nonsense? On their own show? To their faces? In front of their loyal viewers? Kelly's professionalism is being tested to its absolute limits, but she somehow manages to keep her composure. I think our viewers appreciate having a place where they can start their day with some positivity and lighthearted conversation. Positivity, Meghan scoffs. Is that what you call it when you spend your time talking about celebrity breakups and promoting products that people don't need? When you perpetuate unrealistic beauty standards and materialistic values? Mark looks like he's been physically slapped. These are serious accusations being hurled at two people who have built their careers on bringing joy to millions of viewers every morning. The camera captures his expression perfectly, that mixture of shock and hurt that anyone would feel when their life's work is being attacked so brutally. I think you might have us confused with a different type of show, Mark says, his voice steady but strained. We try to celebrate people's accomplishments, share uplifting stories, and yes, have some fun. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that? Meghan's voice rises, and now she's fully animated, gesturing wildly as she speaks. Nothing wrong with distracting people from the real problems in the world? Nothing wrong with promoting a culture of superficiality and ignorance? The producers behind the cameras must be having heart attacks right about now. This is live television. Millions of people are watching, and their guest is having a complete meltdown on air. There's no editing room to save them from this disaster. Kelly takes a deep breath, and you can see her drawing on decades of experience dealing with difficult situations on live television. I respect that you're passionate about important causes, but I think you might be mischaracterizing what we do here. We've had politicians on this show, activists, authors discussing serious books. Token gestures? Meghan interrupts. A few minutes of serious content sprinkled in between cooking segments and celebrity gossip. That's not real journalism. That's not making a real difference. The studio audience is now visibly uncomfortable. Some people are shifting in their seats, others are whispering to each other, and a few look like they want to leave. This is not the entertainment they came for. We never claimed to be a news program, Mark points out reasonably. We're a morning show designed to help people start their day on a positive note. There's value in that too. Value? Meghan repeats, shaking her head. The only value I see here is commercial value. How much money do you make from advertising? How much do your network executives profit while you feed people this meaningless content? Now Kelly's famous patience is starting to crack. Her smile becomes more forced, and there's a slight edge to her voice when she responds. I'm proud of the show we make every day. We work hard to bring our viewers content that entertains them, informs them, and hopefully brightens their morning. Entertains them, Meghan says mockingly. Is that really what the world needs right now? More entertainment? More distractions from the serious issues facing society? I think the world needs both, Kelly replies firmly. People need serious news and important discussions, but they also need moments of joy and connection. There's room for both. Is there? Meghan challenges. Because it seems to me like shows like yours crowd out the real conversations we should be having. You have this platform, this reach, and what do you do with it? Celebrity interviews and product placements. Mark is starting to look genuinely angry now, though he's still trying to maintain his professional demeanor. We use our platform to spotlight important charities, to celebrate teachers and first responders, to share stories that inspire people. That's not nothing. It's not enough, Meghan fires back. Not when there are children in cages. Not when democracy is under attack. Not when climate change is destroying our planet. How can you sit here talking about recipes and fashion trends when the world is burning? The silence that follows is deafening. Even the camera operators seem frozen, unsure whether to keep rolling or cut to commercial. This has gone way beyond an awkward interview and into territory that nobody signed up for. Kelly's voice is quiet but firm when she finally speaks. I understand you're passionate about these issues, and they are important, but attacking us and our viewers isn't going to solve any of them. Attacking you? Meghan's eyes flash. I'm trying to wake you up. I'm trying to make you see that what you're doing has consequences. Every minute you spend on trivial nonsense is a minute that could have been used to actually make a difference. And who exactly appointed you the judge of what makes a difference? Mark asks. And now his professional mask is slipping too. Who decided that you get to determine what has value and what doesn't? Meghan's expression changes, becoming even more condescending if that's possible. Someone has to be willing to tell the truth. Someone has to be willing to challenge the status quo instead of just going along with it for a paycheck. The implication is clear and insulting. She's suggesting that Kelly and Mark are selling out, that they're only in this for the money and don't care about making a real impact. For two people who have dedicated their careers to bringing positivity to millions of viewers, it's a particularly cruel accusation. Kelly's composure finally starts to crack. I think you're being incredibly unfair and frankly quite rude to people who invited you into their home, so to speak, to share your message with our audience. Rude? Meghan laughs, but there's no humor in it. I'm being honest. If you can't handle honesty, maybe you shouldn't be in this business. The audience is now openly uncomfortable, with some people actually getting up to leave. This isn't entertainment anymore. It's just painful to watch. Two beloved television hosts being berated by their guests for doing the job that has brought joy to millions of people for years. Mark tries one more time to salvage something from this disaster. Look, we can agree to disagree about the role of daytime television, but we still have a show to do, and our viewers deserve better than this. Your viewers deserve the truth. Meghan shoots back. They deserve to know that they're being manipulated and distracted while the powerful people in this world make decisions that affect their lives without their input. And you think the way to deliver that truth is by coming on our show and insulting everyone involved? Kelly asks, her voice rising slightly. I think someone needs to be willing to disrupt the comfortable lies that keep people complacent, Meghan replies. If that makes me the bad guy in your little television fantasy, so be it. The temperature in the studio seems to drop 10 degrees. The phrase, little television fantasy, hangs in the air like a slap in the face. This is Kelly and Mark's life work. She's dismissing so casually their contribution to the world that she's treating like it's worthless. And that's when you can see something change in both hosts. The polite professionalism they've been clinging to starts to give way to something else. They've been patient, they've been understanding, they've tried to find common ground. But there's only so much abuse two people can take before they start to push back. Kelly looks directly at Meghan, and when she speaks, her voice is steady, but there's steel underneath it. I think it's time we took a different approach to this conversation. The shift in Kelly's tone is immediate and unmistakable. Gone is the bubbly morning show host trying to keep things light. In her place sits a woman who has had enough of being disrespected in her own house. You came on our show, Kelly continues, her words measured and deliberate, as our guest. We welcomed you with open arms, excited to hear what you had to say. But instead of having a conversation, you spent the entire time attacking us, attacking our show, and attacking our viewers. Meghan's eyebrows shoot up, clearly not expecting this pushback. I'm simply trying to have an honest discussion about the role of media in society. No, Mark interjects, his voice firm and unwavering. You're not having a discussion at all. You're lecturing us like we're children who don't understand the world around us. That's not a conversation. That's condescension. For the first time since the interview started, Meghan looks slightly taken aback. She's been so focused on her own agenda that she seems surprised anyone would dare challenge her approach. I think you're being overly sensitive, she says dismissively. If you can't handle constructive criticism, maybe you should reconsider your career choices. The audacity of that statement hangs in the air like smoke. Here's a woman who walked into someone else's workplace and spent the entire time insulting everything they've built, now suggesting they're the problem for not appreciating her feedback. Kelly's eyes flash with something that looks very much like controlled anger. Constructive criticism involves offering solutions and speaking with respect. What you've been doing is neither constructive nor respectful. Respect has to be earned. Meghan fires back, and that statement lands like a bomb in the studio. I don't owe you respect just because you have a television show. The collective intake of breath from the audience is audible. Did she really just say that basic human courtesy has to be earned? That treating your hosts with dignity is optional? Mark looks like he can't believe what he just heard. Actually, treating people with basic respect is something most of us learned in kindergarten. It's not something you withhold until someone proves they deserve it. Most people, Meghan says, with a smirk that makes the entire studio cringe, haven't had to deal with the level of scrutiny and criticism that I have. Most people haven't had their every word analyzed and twisted by people who make their living off other people's stories. And most people, Kelly responds sharply, don't walk into someone else's home and immediately start insulting the furniture. The metaphor is perfect and hits exactly the right note. This is Kelly and Mark's show, their professional home, and Meghan has been trashing it from the moment she sat down. I'm not insulting anything, Meghan protests. I'm pointing out uncomfortable truths that apparently no one has been brave enough to tell you before. Brave enough? Mark's voice rises slightly. You think it takes bravery to come on someone's show and attack them? You think that's courage? I think it takes courage to challenge systems that aren't working, Meghan replies. I think it takes courage to speak truth to power, even when that truth is uncomfortable. Kelly lets out a short, incredulous laugh. Truth to power? We host a morning talk show, not run the Pentagon. And the truth is, you've been nothing but rude and disrespectful since you walked in here. If speaking honestly about the problems with your industry makes me rude, Meghan says, her voice dripping with self-righteousness, then I'll wear that label proudly. The studio audience has gone completely silent now, watching this train wreck unfold with a mixture of horror and fascination. Some people have their phones out, clearly recording what they know is television history in the making. Your industry, Mark repeats slowly. You do realize you're part of the media too, right? You've done interviews, you've had your own projects, you've used television platforms to share your message. How is that different from what we do? Meghan's expression hardens. What I do has substance. What I do matters. I use media to create real change, not to sell laundry detergent and breakfast cereal. And there at Island, the final insult that pushes Kelly over the edge. Her voice becomes ice cold as she responds. Let me get this straight. You think what we do doesn't matter? You think bringing a little joy and connection to millions of people every morning has no value? You think the teachers we celebrate, the families we reunite, the charities we spotlight, none of that matters because we also happen to talk about recipes and movies? I think you could do so much more with your platform, Meghan says, completely missing the warning signs in Kelly's voice. I think you're wasting an opportunity to make real change in the world. And I think, Kelly responds, her words cutting through the studio like a knife, that you're one of the most arrogant and self-absorbed people we've ever had on this show. The silence that follows is absolute. Even the crew behind the cameras seems to freeze. Did America's sweetheart just call out a duchess on live television? Meghan's mouth opens and closes like she can't quite process what just happened. She's clearly not used to anyone speaking to her this directly. Excuse me? She finally manages to say. You heard me, Kelly continues, and now she's fully unleashed. You walked in here with an agenda to tear us down and make yourself look superior. You've insulted our work, our viewers, and our intelligence. And when we try to respond, you act like we're the problem. Mark nods in agreement. We invited you here in good faith, and you've used every minute of this interview to attack us. That's not activism, that's just bad manners. Meghan's face flushes red, and you can see her struggling to maintain composure. I don't have to sit here and listen to this. Actually, Kelly says calmly, you do. You're a guest on our show, and we still have 4 minutes left in this segment. The power dynamic has completely flipped. Suddenly, it's Kelly and Mark who are in control, and Meghan, who looks like she wants to escape. This is exactly the kind of behavior I was talking about, Meghan says, her voice becoming shrill. The moment someone challenges you, you attack them personally instead of engaging with their ideas. We tried to engage with your ideas, Mark points out, but every time we responded, you insulted us more. You can't have a conversation with someone who thinks you're beneath them. I never said you were beneath me, Meghan protests weakly. You didn't have to say it, Kelly responds. It's been written all over your face since you sat down. You think you're better than us? Better than our show? Better than our viewers? Well, guess what? Our viewers are smart, caring people who deserve better than to be talked down to by someone who clearly thinks she's too good to be here. Meghan stands up abruptly, her microphone nearly falling off her dress. I don't have to tolerate this kind of treatment. No, Kelly says, also standing. You don't. The door is right behind you. The studio audience gasps collectively. Did Kelly Ripa just tell her guest to leave? On live television, Meghan looks around the studio like she's trying to find someone who will back her up, but every face she sees is either neutral or openly disapproving. The crew, the audience, even the security guards, everyone can see who the problem is here. "This is unprofessional," Meghan says, her voice breaking slightly. "What's unprofessional?" Mark responds firmly, "is coming on someone's show and spending the entire time insulting them. What's unprofessional is treating people like they're stupid because they don't share your exact worldview." Meghan takes a step toward the exit, then turns back one last time. "You'll regret this. Both of you will regret treating me this way." And with that threat hanging in the air, she storms off the set, leaving Kelly and Mark standing there as the cameras continue to roll. Kelly takes a deep breath, smooths down her dress, and looks directly into the camera with a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "Well," she says, "that certainly wasn't what we had planned for today." The studio audience erupts in applause, finally able to release the tension that had been building for the entire segment. They're clapping for Kelly and Mark, for their professionalism, for their willingness to stand up for themselves and their viewers. Mark sits back down, running a hand through his hair. "You know what? Sometimes you have to draw a line. Sometimes you have to say, enough is enough." "We tried to be gracious," Kelly adds, also taking her seat. "We really did try to give her every opportunity to have a respectful conversation. But respect goes both ways." And with that, one of the most dramatic moments in daytime television history comes to an end. Not with shouting or security guards, but with two professionals who refuse to be bullied in their own house, standing up for themselves and the millions of viewers who tune in every morning looking for a little positivity to start their day.